Hello, good evening, and welcome to Iron Port. Good evening and welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goel PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA, and our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. If you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show. Indeed, we are streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema, and on YouTube, we are streaming live at Iron Port. We shall be getting interactive with you, and all you have to do is to send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which has been restored, 0559-019-177, 0559-019-177. Plus, when the time is ripe, and I pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with the show. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, Goel makes good things happen. This time, Goel has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goel Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goel Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goel Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goel Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goel has that sorted. Goel, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance
for the project, and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm. sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so you're welcome back. We are now going to take a look at some happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And indeed, in the course of the week, the Ghana Revenue Authority had cause to assemble freight forwarders in the port city of Tema to sensitize and educate them on some new tax laws and policies that they are rolling out. Plus the fact that students of the Regional Maritime University, RMU, have added their voice to calls for the provision of a training vessel for them. We're taking a look at these stories and more. Please stay.
The Ghana Revenue Authority has met with members of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders in Tema to educate them on new tax laws introduced this year. The Revenue Authority deemed it crucial to engage freight forwarders on the nuances of these tax laws due to the indispensable role the freight forwarders play as intermediaries between state actors and traders at the point of clearance of goods at the various ports of entry. They were sensitized on the 12.5% upfront VAT payment and the Growth and Sustainability Levy Act. The GRA, beginning June 6 of this year, began the imposition of 12.5% on the customs value of taxable goods at all ports of entry imported by persons who are required by law to register for VAT but haven't done so, in addition to import duties and taxes. A chief revenue officer at the Community Night Taxpayer Center, Kwame Dukwache, emphasized that this is not a new tax, but a compliance tool.
The good thing about this compliance measure is if you register with us and you have paid already, you have an opportunity to recover the tax once you register for VAT. If you are not even supposed to pay the 12.5 because probably the commodity you have imported is a personal commodity, it's for personal use, it's not for sales, then you can apply for a waiver even before your container lands at the port for clearance.
A principal revenue officer at the Tema Community 1 Taxpayer Service Center, Stephen Bafo Jeo, also revealed that the Growth and Sustainability Levy is a new tax aimed at shoring up government coffers for national development.
The levy is not operating as the upon VAT or the import, no, not at all. The levy is on your profit before tax. As I'm saying, so you project beginning of the year. Let us by the time that the first payment is due. So if I have imported maybe in January or even have imported within the year, nobody will come and force me that pay your growth and sustainability. No. So it means that if I am in the category of category A or C, if my profit before tax is nil, I made loss for the year, I don't pay any because it is on what? Profit, a percentage on that. So if the profit is negative, what am I supposed to pay? Nothing. You understand? Except for category B, that one, it's not dependent whether you have made profit or not. It is on your what? Gross production.
On the sidelines of the Blue Economy Conference, the Deputy Director in charge of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation at the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Richard Latte, revealed that some significant progress has been made in the country's bid to implement the cabotage law that was passed last year. The cabotage law is designed to restrict a significant part of the maritime trade in Ghanaian waters to Ghanaians. The law will ensure that 50% of all officers and 75% of all ratings operating in Ghanaian waters are Ghanaians.
So far, we have documented procedures to inform stakeholders about the detailed implementation processes. We've also sent some of our staff to Nigeria to study the implementation, lessons learned or challenges by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and the safety agency to see what some of the challenges that they encountered when they started the implementation. So NIMASA started rolling out the cabotage in 2003. So in Africa, they are one of the leading, or should I say the leading agencies in terms of cabotage.
He explained further the benefits of the cabotage regime to Ghanaians.
Cabotage means that we are restricting maritime trade to our locals. You can have the situation where foreign vessels are coming in, but they have to register under the cabotage regime. And so this one means that our graduates from the Maritime University, okay, will have the opportunity, okay, to work on board the vessels.
The official of the Ghana Maritime Authority also touched on the Go to Sea program that will be launched soon.
This is a program that we are launching very soon to educate and sensitize, okay, our SHS students and other accredited tertiary, okay, institutions, okay, on the need to see the seafarer career, okay, as a very good profession. And so we'll be going to a lot of schools, institutions, educate them, sensitize them, okay, on the prospects in the maritime industry. So that's what the program is all about.
The students' body of the Regional Maritime University is among the latest group calling for increased focus on the growth of Ghana's blue economy. Last week, the Students' Representative Council of the Regional Maritime University held a Blue Economy Conference on the theme, Employment in the Blue Industry, a Catalyst for Economic Growth, exploring the roles of stakeholders, government, and academia for this cause. Addressing his audience, the president of the SRC, Alex Abayate, doubled up on calls for the acquisition of a training vessel for the school.
We heard in the news, even from the current transport minister, that $152 million has been secured to a modernization project in Regional Maritime University, of which obtaining a training vessel is one of them. So we are praying and hoping that it comes in time, but then, that notwithstanding, we want it to come assiduously and with speed.
The monitoring manager at the port of Tema, Captain Ebenezer Gape, encouraged the RMU to expand its scope of training.
Though the university has an area of courses that the port has taken advantage of over the period, there are still untapped areas that the university can design programs to address. And I would like to give one example in this regard. For example, there is no program in the sub-region that trains vessel traffic operators. That is the VTMI station or the port control station, for example.
A Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Dr. Stephen Amoah, promised the students they have the ears of government for the development of the blue economy.
I can assure you that the things that you have spoken about, that government is supposed to probably upscale its performance, I'll do my best to push them in the area of government policy, specific policy. I haven't read it if it's there, and it has to be reviewed. I will push that.
In line with the organization's dedication to continuous development, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority is strategizing to improve the working conditions at the Tema Fishing Harbour. To this end, the authority has begun a decongestion exercise at the main canoe basin to sanitize the space and make room for potential future dredging of the facility. The exercise saw a number of broken canoes and unwanted structures around the canoe basin removed. Atlina Amoyao is the operations manager at the Tema Fishing Harbour.
In fact, GPHA has been wanting to take the measurement of the canoe basin because it's seen as the entrance to the fishing harbour for us to see if there's the need for us to do any dredging of the fishing harbour. But for some time now, it has been difficult because we have a lot of broken canoes in the sea and also some unwanted structures that are around the canoe basin.
The Marketing and Public Affairs Manager at the Tema Fishing Harbour, Isaac Tavia, also stated that this initiative feeds into the objective of the authority to create a safe and healthy environment for fishing activities at the harbour.
We have a lot of visitors coming from all over the world to the fishing harbour and by extension to the canoe basin. So we want to make sure that this place is sanitized and that we make sure that everything is in order.
All right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. Indeed, we are now going for some international port and shipping news.
A new transport and environment study shows that toxic air pollutants from cruise ships around ports are higher than pre-pandemic levels, leading to increased air pollution in Europe's port cities. The study indicates that despite introducing the UN shipping body sulfur cap in 2020, Europe's 218 cruise ships emitted as much sulfur oxide as 1 billion cars last year. However, the study said that at the Port of Venice, air pollutant from cruise ships fell 80% following the city's ban on large cruise ships. T&E says this shows that it is possible to tackle air pollution, calling for greater electrification at ports in order to save lives. Thousands of dead fish have washed up on a Texas beach, leading authorities to urge beachgoers to steer clear. Officials with Quintana Beach Country Park urged swimmers to avoid the coast, citing high bacterial levels and the sharp fins of the dead fish. According to Texas Parks and Wildlife, the fish killed on the Gulf Coast beach, about 65 miles south of Houston, was a result of low dissolved oxygen levels in the water. The department said low oxygen levels are common in the summer when temperatures rise, making it so the fish can't breathe underwater.
All right, welcome back. We are now going for the phrase or word of the day. Remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons we use in the shipping industry. And today's word is gang. Gang.
A gang is a term used to describe a group of stevedores or dock workers who work directly under a manager or supervisor. The main task of a gang is to help on the port side of the vessel at the dock during the loading and unloading of the cargo from the ship.
All right, so welcome back. We are now zooming into our discussion proper tonight, and tonight we're taking a look at ocean governance and why it is a must, or why Ghana must adopt a science-based approach. And this comes on the back of a Blue Economy Summit that was organized primarily at the instance of the SDGs unit of the presidency and some other stakeholders or collaborators. Indeed, the ocean is said to possess vast natural resources, and when tapped, can be a huge blessing to the nation. And we are told that it's a gold mine that, when properly harnessed and managed, the generality of the Ghanaian people can benefit from it. And so we want to find out how come that we have all this while not been able to manage our oceans, our blue economy effectively and efficiently to benefit the people of our country. Tonight, that's what we're taking a look at. And so it gives me pleasure to introduce to us Professor Felix, that's Professor Frank K.E. Nunu, Francis K.E. Nunu. Yes, Prof. Francis K.E. Nunu is the head of Department of Marine and Fisheries Sciences at the University of Ghana, Ghana's premier university. Thank you very much indeed for coming, Prof. We're grateful to have you in the studios.
Thank you very much.
We also have in the studios our very own Mr. Rickster Ni Ama Matthew. He's no stranger to the show. Rickster is the Executive Director of the Blue Economy and Governance Consult. Recently, he was here calling for the establishment of a Blue Economy Authority. We're yet to see whether that will happen. I think that he's pushing together with his team to ensure that this, comes to fruition. We also have in the studios Dr. Felix Adoyobo. Dr. Adoyobo is the Deputy Director and Advisor at the SDGs Advisory Unit Office of the President, and they played a very key role as far as the organization of this particular Blue Economy Summit is concerned. And so we're going to begin the discussion, and I would just want to find out from Rickster, first of all, whether you think that yes, calls for a science-based approach for the management of our marine or oceans or management is the way to go. Can you put on your microphone? Is it on? Yes, it's on. Sure.
Good evening to our listeners, and happy Father's Day to all of us here in the studio.
Prof, I hope your microphone is also on.
Hello.
Okay. If the blue light is on, then that's fine. Yeah, sure.
Good, it's on.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to all of us in the studio, and a lot of the fathers out there.
Absolutely.
Everything about the ocean is science, and so you cannot manage the ocean without the science of it.
Right.
And I think it's one of the biggest challenge we face as a country, that we allow the policy to lead the science instead of the science leading the policy.
Okay.
And until we turn it around and make the science the basis for which we develop our policies, we may continue to hold a lot of talk shop and may not be able to do anything that would actually see us getting the full benefit, not just from the ocean space or the blue space, but many other things that we do.
Right.
It is for a purpose that you need science. And you see, the thinking that science came through classroom education is not wholly true, because our grandfathers and great-grandfathers who were not in school were still applying science in managing natural resources.
Right.
So if today, for instance, you talk about closed season, they used to have closed season. They used to have closed areas. They used to have periods where you may not have to go fishing, or you may not have to even do your farming and all that. I remember one of my uncles could stand and look into the sky and say, look, it's going to rain. We may not have to do fishing. They would just stand in the water by their feet. They would check the water temperature. They would check the movement of the current. They would check the direction of the wind, and they would know exactly what to do. So they applied science, and that is what led them to do the things they were doing. So science is not new to ocean management and governance. It's been there, except that they didn't have what it takes to document the things they were doing. So all they had to do was to find ways and means of scaring people away. So they will tell you, if you do this around this time, it is a taboo and this may happen. Of course, you may destroy the natural flow of that natural resource, and so it is not good. So science has been part of our management. It's been part of the generations before us. Except that now that we have people who have studied the science and have read books and appreciate it, we no longer value the science that we read in school. So you probably will have scientists advising somebody who is in a policy position, and the person will say, well, when I do this, I may not get a vote. So why would I do it? Because the first thing that drives the decision maker, the policy maker, is how much vote am I getting from your scientific advice? And that is not sustainability. That doesn't bring conservation. And that's why we have the kind of problems we face today. If we probably will listen to the science and allow the science to lead, we won't have the problems we are having. I just saw the Regional Maritime University students asking for training vessels.
Yes.
In fact, it's not just the Regional Maritime University. Prof. Nunu is here. None of our universities in Ghana have a research vessel. Yeah. And they require a research vessel to be able to do the things they were doing. And I always cite the example that you go to Rhode Island, the University of Rhode Island itself had a research vessel. The Rhode Island as a state has a research vessel. The other universities, like University of Massachusetts, all have their research vessel. The New England region has a research vessel. And they've been doing these decades on. And so they produce scientific reports that become the basis for decision making.
Right.
So when they say, for instance, that our stocks are breaking, they know what they mean, because they are able to do proper trend analysis of what has happened over the period of time. Now, our research vessel for the entire nation, I would say Kakadiamba, that belongs to the Fisheries Commission. Was sunk around 1999.
Right.
From then to today, we don't have a research vessel.
Deliberately sunk?
Well, they said it was taking in water, and so Gapua had to sink it in order that it doesn't sink in the port.
Right.
So, from 1999 till date, we don't have a research vessel. What do? We wait until the Norwegian Dr. Frigid Nansen vessel comes. Sometimes, the last time it was here was in 2017 or so, and after that, it had not come again.
2019.
2019. It came back in 2019. Yeah. Well, but it had not come back again. Right. Almost 4 years now. And so you wait for Dr. Nansen to come next year to come and do some survey before you get some scientific information. The industry provides some information. But if we are now talking about moving towards a blue economy, then I think the issue of science is bigger than waiting until the Norwegians would bring their vessel once in 4 years, in 3 years, even in a year, for us to get some scientific data.
Right.
We need to have our scientific data right on spot. I have a problem when I attended the summit, and I raised it with a number of people. In the first place, the forum under which the summit was organized is problematic for me.
Why?
And I will explain. It is under the SDG. The major issue that the SDG was considering was goal number 14, life underwater. Now, when you talk about the blue economy, it goes beyond life underwater. The blue economy go deep into many major economic issues within the blue space. Life underwater, a friend of mine would say, is just a microcosm within a bigger macrocosm. So, will the SDG unit leave all the work it has to deal with an emerging UN issue? Because blue economy is an emerging UN issue. And the UN has given its definition. Even the AU now has a definition for it. Right. And concentrate on it. And that's what we're calling for, an authority that will specifically deal with it. I was at the summit, and you also realize that the players within the blue space, you didn't have all of them playing key role, even within the policy setup, playing key role in the summit. And I had issues with some of the things that even came up. Because you see, when you want to discuss and push the agenda of blue economy, there are a number of things you need to do. You even need to look at policy overlaps within the space. You need to look at how you are going to, the last time we raised the issue of turf war.
Yes.
And once you have policy overlaps, you definitely will have turf wars. And so if you make it part of an institution that is dealing with a number of issues, because when you are talking about the SDG, it's a whole lot of issues. I think there are about 17 or so goals that the SDG is supposed to deal with. Much as I admit that His Excellency the President has a focus on SDG Goal 14 because that is where it plays its international role, I feel that there should be some institution if you want to really deal with the issue of blue economy. And if you want to make it science-led, then there should be an institution that probably would deal with the matter of the blue economy, and deal with it in such that you are clear in your mind that we want to achieve something. You are dealing with an ocean space that is 550 kilometers across and 200 nautical miles or more into the ocean, because if you are dealing with the continental shelf, you could add additional 150 nautical miles when you are dealing with the continental shelf. And so that is how big a space you are dealing with probably more economic activities than what we have on land. This is an area you will not be able to be there to police and manage every day. You need a bit more of science, a bit more of investment to be able to have full benefit. If you bring in issues like biotechnology, which some people are doing now, pharmaceuticals and other things from the planktons in the benthic of the ocean and all that. Yeah. You probably will need more investment than they would normally do picking herbs from the forest.
Right.
So you need to have full commitment to it. And to me, that is where I have my challenge. That, well, it makes the summit look like a one-off event, even though they listed a number of interactions they were going to have. To me, this is not an event that should be bottom-up. You should have a clear policy up there, know what you are doing, deal with the overlaps, be clear how you are engaging the policy people to all be at the same table, agree on what role you are playing within the blue economy space, and now everybody is fitting in or dovetailing into that system, then you would be able now to say, well, this is what we have. Where is the entry? Is the entry oil and gas? If the entry is oil and gas, what are the chain of economic events that we are linking to it? What data do we have?
Right.
If the entry is the fishery sector, what are we doing? How are we dealing with it? If the entry is ecotourism, well, there must be an entry.
Right.
And it must be clear. You need to spell the objective clear. This is the entry, and you need to have your reason why that is the entry and how you are going to, so that everybody fits in. We're just listening to the cabotage, the issue of the cabotage law, is a regulation actually that has been passed, and how you are going to get Ghanaians to be part owners of a system within the blue economy.
Right.
I'm sure the cabotage was not even one of the issues that was introduced properly there, and only a few people have an appreciation or have seen and read the cabotage regulation. But it's important. It's more like a local content policy document.
That's right.
That, and you need to have a system that get people to appreciate and place a value on what role they can play within the blue space and what benefit comes to them.
Okay.
I think I would.
All right. Yes, okay. So you were those that organized this particular summit, and Rickster seems to have an issue with the way it was done. You listened to his submission and the issues that he has raised. My first question to you was to tell us about it and why you actually put it together. And so you can lump the two up. Tell us about the Blue Economy Summit, why you put it together, and then you can also try to perhaps provide some explanation to Rickster.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And to start with, the ocean is a very enormous asset with great potential for our development.
Right.
It controls our climate. It contributes to food security, plays a very important role in absorbing carbon dioxide in our fight against...
I'm told you have to draw your microphone.
In a fight against climate change. But however, the ocean is under an existential threat from human activities. Pollution, climate change itself is making us not to be able to realize the full potential that we can get from the ocean. And so it became important for us to put the spotlight back on the ocean and make it a central feature in our policy discourse and decision making. And this discussion has started globally, like Richter said in his submission. And so the summit which we held was to translate that discussion from the global platform to the national level.
Okay.
Because that is where the actions do really happen. What are we going to do nationally?
Right.
So a number of things. The summit first was organized under the auspices of the President, His Excellency, as a member of the Ocean Panel. This is a group of 17 world leaders that are pushing the ocean agenda. And it was to create a platform for discussion and on ocean-related issues, to identify what the challenges are, and to promote innovation to solve the problems that we have. I would also say that the ocean has enormous benefits that are hugely untapped, especially in our space. So whilst we are addressing the challenges that the ocean face and the threats, we are also looking at the opportunities that we can derive from the ocean to address critical issues like unemployment, inequality, poverty that we are suffering with. As a country, the chunk of our development has been land-based. We have not paid enormous attention to the resources that the ocean has, and we think that the ocean, if we pay attention to it, would be a game changer and would aid the transformation that we are seeking in this country. To put it bluntly, our ocean space, like you said, the EEZ, is about the same size as our land space. Yet we focus a lot.
Exclusive economic zone.
Yes, it's about the same space as our land area, around 200 cubic kilometer square, I think. But our development has been heavily focused on land, and we think that if we turn our attention to the ocean and derive what benefits we can get from there, it will help our development and bring about the transformation we need. And so the Blue Economy Summit, as I said, was under the theme, our ocean, our prosperity, and then our security. And it brought together over 400 stakeholders from across the country and some internationally to look at how we can work together to sustainably manage 100% of our ocean space. And by so doing, addressing the threats that the ocean face, but then also tapping into the enormous benefits that the ocean provides for our socioeconomic development. Let me wrap up by addressing a couple of the misrepresentation that the previous speaker said. Yes, the Blue Economy Summit was organized, like I said, under the auspices of the president, but then by the SDG Advisory Unit. That does not mean that the SDG Advisory Unit is in charge of Blue Economy. That is a fact. We are the conveners of the summit, driving the agenda, but we don't have the mandate, or it's not our intention to lead the discussion or implement Blue Economy strategies. We identify that it is a cross-sectorial activity. It is multi-stakeholder. That's why we have the academia, the civil society, private sector, all in the room. We are facilitating a discussion, but we are not implementing the Blue Economy agenda. That is not our mandate. So the fact that we did it and does not mean that it is wrongly situated, because like he even said, he wants a body that will drive Blue Economy. Currently, there's nobody like that, so we should drive the agenda then. So we facilitated the discourse, and it's one of the things we are going to work on. What is the most efficient implementation architecture for the Blue Economy space? Yes, some are pushing for a separate entity, authority, Blue Economy. Others are saying that let's strengthen the existing institutions so that they can play their role well. So the debate is ongoing, and as part of the sustainable ocean plan we are working on, we'll look at the implementation architecture, what works within our space. And then the second one was, he said something that the president is focused on SDG 14, and that is why we are doing the summit. That is totally wrong.
I said that the president has an international role in SDG 14. So basically, that brings into sharp focus the issue of the life underwater, which may, let's get the...
Okay, so let me get it. Again, that yes, the president has a role on SDG 14 because of the Ocean Panel, but he has roles in other SDGs as well. So it is not that we are exclusively paying attention to SDG 14 or fixated on SDG 14. It is because it is a global issue. The president is passionate about it, and as well as other SDGs, but because of our role in supporting the president in his global advocacy, we championed the summit and brought together various stakeholders. All the relevant ministries were involved. all the relevant private sector agencies were involved. I must admit that there are 1,001 institutions, and you cannot possibly get all of them around the table. But at least it's a good start. And it's not going to be an event. We are going to build on it. Actually, we've started consultations in the coastal regions, talking to people about what the expectation for the blue economy is. And again, to address one of the things he said, I don't think it's proper to say that, at this stage, to say that for the blue economy, it's going to be tourism, it's going to be fisheries, it's going to be that. We want to hear from the people, we want to hear from the stakeholders, and then we prioritize. We cannot start from the top and say that it's going to be oil and gas, let's go for oil and gas. We need to hear our stakeholders. We need to use scientific data and research to prioritize, and then to see where we have the relative advantage. So if from the analysis, from the stakeholder engagement, from the research findings, it becomes clear that the low-hanging fruit, it may be tourism, as opposed to oil and gas, etc. So let us put our effort in there first. Then we'll get to that point. But we will not flip it the other way around and say that we want to do tourism, we want to do this, and so how do people plug in? Let's identify the issues, let's use science and data, reach a consensus on what the priorities are, and then we get the respective stakeholders to come on board, and then we implement.
Right. Okay, let me come to Prof. Francis Nunu. You, I can say or describe as a big player, as an active player and participant in this particular space, that's the ocean space. I just want to find out from you, what do you think accounts for the unfavorable, or so to speak, poor state of affairs when it comes to ocean management in our country?
All right, thank you very much, and good evening to all listeners and viewers, and also happy Father's Day to us all.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah, good. All right, so as a nation in Ghana, the ocean has been integrated into our culture and our affairs. We have so many proverbs related to the ocean. Yes, yeah, we have even the sea never dries syndrome.
Yes.
But nevertheless, we have a phobia of the people, some significant number of people for the ocean, against the ocean. It's like they're afraid, the tides and the waves. People are afraid, and they see the ocean as a place, a no-go area. You have to be very solid before. Swimming has not been a good hobby for Ghanaians. I would say less than 1% of people in Ghana can swim, and swim properly against these waves and tides of the ocean. So as a nation also, we have over-relied on basically the food security part and the food and nutrition part for our sustenance, instead of tapping on all the other things that the ocean can give us. We mine salt, fine, but the tourism and other parts, which maybe somebody doesn't want to hear too much, we have not tapped into it. So basically, generally, our society is set up that we've not studied enough of the ocean. But the science is doing its bit. The ocean is vast and has got quite a number of habitats. There are mountains, there are valleys in the ocean. There are very dark areas. There are areas that are 20,000 meters or kilometers down. The areas where they are very stable and calm. If you study the ocean, it's a wonderful place and a diversity of organisms. And you need various equipments, subsea equipment. We need conductivity, temperature, and depth measurement. Machines that can go to all these mountains and valleys within the ocean. So we need technology. And as a country, technology-wise, we're a bit lacking. So that also accounts for some of these things. The ocean has got the physical part, it's got the chemical part. The nutrient dynamics of the sea can change in seconds. You know, we have quite a number of minerals, ions, and things in the ocean.
Right.
We've got the biological part. Plankton, phytoplankton, zooplankton, tiny microscopic organisms that cannot be seen by others, by human eye. We've got the fish, the nectin, we've got the big ones, the pelagics on the surface, we have those, the demersals, we have those that are even benthic, we have those that are living in the sand, and we have the imprints of living things and occurrences on the sea in the deep fossils that even creates the oil eventually over thousands and thousands of years. And the fact that we have even oil found in Ghana means that our sea is very rich. Over the years, the fossilized remains of the skeletons and all that has led to all these things that we have. You know, so as a nation, this vast resource, a mixture of lack of technology, a mixture of our culture and other things, and then the unavailability of funds, resources, logistics, and my brother mentioned research vessel. In fact, if you go to other universities and other parts of the world, as he said, even a small university department has got a research vessel and all that. Yeah, we haven't got. Okay, our department, for instance, I'm representing academia, and we are the mother of all departments that have been that have offshoot all the other departments studying oceanography and fisheries. We were established since 1988. In fact, by statute 1962, and later started programs in 1988. I started teaching in 1997. You know, so over the years, currently we have over 7 universities running oceanography, fisheries, water-related courses in this country. You know, and there's quite a lot of publications and things out there through individual efforts and through collaborations with international partners. But as a nation, we have put very little into research and these vast resources, because and another point is our over-reliance on the land. And the land has got a huge impact on the ocean. So the land is over time overwhelming the oceans. Overwhelming the ocean. The impact on the ocean is becoming more and more. Then all these climate-related issues that we don't really understand very well. So there's really a need for a national investment into the ocean science. I remember way back in my early career when I had my first lecture on a topic like this, an interfaculty lecture. I even postulated that we should have 1% of our GDP put aside for science as a nation, so that all the research institutions can be well resourced with the facilities and things to demystify ocean science and other aquatic sciences in Ghana and beyond.
Are you still of the same conviction today?
I'm still of the same conviction today, even much more convicted than before. As a nation, we need to take 1% of our GDP and use it to resource our investors and research institutions, CSR, all the other research institutions. And both, and let me add, the social aspect of it. I really started with that as well. Yes, and all that. So we've been doing our bit, but as a nation, this blue economy concept and the SDGs and things is an opportunity for us to turn this situation that I'm talking about, for us to turn it around and move forward.
Right, absolutely.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Prof. Let me come to Rickster once again and find out. I just want to find out from you what you think are the consequences or repercussions should we fail to, involve heavily science in the management of our oceans.
Well, we have failed as a country because we have actually not involved science from the beginning. And at this stage, we have already failed the ocean. Prof was saying that the land has overwhelmed the ocean space, and that is true. For instance, what is the science behind, and I keep saying this, for instance, TMA constructing drains and channeling them into a water body, a natural water body. What is the science behind La Nkwantana Municipal Assembly constructing a drain and channeling it into Peshi Lagoon? You get it. So science is not a myth. It is what we live every day. When I go to my village in the eastern region, my mom's place, along the Kuya stream or river, you are not allowed to wash, I think, some 50 meters away from the stream.
Right.
You are not allowed to do that. Yet today, we are mining gold using mercury and cyanide and all the chemicals right in the heart of the water body. So, and that's why I said that our parents who were not educated probably were practicing more science than we are doing today, and are being more responsible than we are doing. And that is why today you have almost all our water bodies dying. That's why today you don't have mangroves anywhere, except you go towards the water region around Anyanui and other, and then you go towards the far west. Because if we appreciate even the importance of the mangroves to carbon extraction, you probably have reason why you would rather want to plant more mangroves than take out the little mangroves that we have. So the failure to appreciate the fact that we need science and that science must guide our policy decision are the reasons we are facing some of the challenges we are facing today. We've gotten to a point where I keep saying that we need to be talking about restoration, because the system is collapsed. We won't lie about it. Fishermen no longer get fish. For instance, I'm just using the fishing. The industry is overpopulated. And so you need to now start thinking about restoration. Right. How do we bring in science to start restoring what is it that we have destroyed? Because we may talk about the blue economy, but if we don't start budgeting for restoration, how do we probably restore the mangroves, the lagoons, the brackish water, and the coastal ecology in order that we can take advantage of that? How do we replan the whole system? Why should people just build along the coastal line, do anything there? When you go to where I'm coming from, part of the coast is a whole, what do you call it, rubbish dump.
Right.
And that is where everybody dumps the rubbish. I thought this was only in my place. I went to Western region, I think, where I got to Princess Town.
Right.
And I saw about the same thing, that people carry their waste and dump them at the coast.
Right.
We need to have rethinking. This is not magic. We need to bring in the local government system to start rethinking as to how we are going to stop the destruction.
Right.
Because if we don't stop the destruction and reverse the trend, science will have very little role to play. So we need to now begin to conscientize people that, look, we are heading towards a system where we are going to rely on the ocean for basically everything we need.
Yeah.
I went to China some 2 weeks ago, and I went to the processing factory, and face mask was made from tuna. The face mask that the women used to, and
it was made from tuna.
From tuna. Anti-diabetes drug was made from more like supplement. Was made from the tuna oil from the eye, and I know that there are some. The skin of the fish the scale is used for in dealing with scars after surgery and all that. That is just fish. Right. So much can come out of it. I was just talking about there are peptides and other things. Now, what I'm trying to say is that the ocean owes so much potential.
Right.
As a people, we need to treat it well. And we need to educate our own selves and our people that, look, we have a responsibility to protect the ocean. God gave it to us. Let's try and, we may not be able to restore it to its very natural state, but as much as possible, let's stop the destruction. And that is where I expect policy to lead. That is where I expect that persons who are appointed into government position will be whipped to line and given some, what do you say, we should be marked to a certain standard. That if you are in an area where the ocean is one of the activities there.
Yes.
You have a responsibility to ensure that the ocean doesn't become a waste dump.
Right.
You will lose your job if you're an MCE and you cannot ensure sanity along your ocean line. Probably when we start treating the ocean with some level of respect, because truth be told, fishermen respect the sea. Until recently, when people have become a bit adventurous and are doing some things, when I was young and were fishing, my uncle would not let you just drop anything into the ocean when you're at sea.
Right.
The only thing you will be allowed to drop into the ocean is something that the fish will eat. So, for instance, if you eat a kinky, you may drop the leftover into the ocean because the fish may eat them. Yes. But you will not be allowed to drop plastic and because the ocean will bring them back.
Yes.
Somebody says the ocean doesn't take waste. It will always bring the waste back to you. So, to me, science is important, but we need the policy people to lead the process for us to start restoring. Once we are able to restore, then we would be able to start thinking about what is it that we need to do.
Absolutely.
The other thing that we need to look at, and we've been saying this, that we need to start talking seriously about marine special plan.
Right.
We need to talk about marine reserves. We need to start protecting all our estuaries from the various activities that are happening around the estuaries.
Right.
Because if you don't plan, you fail. Yeah. So if we don't plan our ocean space, and the rate, and my fear has to do with the rate at which we are craving for oil money, and we start sinking wells everywhere in the ocean, we may destroy what we are supposed to reserve.
Right.
So, to me, probably from where I stand, if we want to start with science, the first thing science would have to do is to map out our ocean, have a marine special plan. Let's create reserves. Let's create protected areas. I know Prof was doing something about marine protected zones. Let's create protected areas. And if we do it properly and we create proper reserves, we may not even need to close season.
Right.
Because we may close areas that are sensitive. And so the fishermen won't even go there.
Right.
So you always, and we need to, I was talking about restoration, you need probably to start introducing things like artificial reefs and all that. But you cannot do these things if you don't have a research vessel.
Right, okay.
It's key, it's fundamental.
All right. Let me come to Dr. Adebo. If you would want to share with us some of the highlights of the Blue Economy Summit, and whether indeed the impact you really sought to make was realized.
Yeah, thank you. I must say that the 2-day summit was a real success, and we did achieve our objectives. Quickly going to the outcomes and the key consensus that came out of the meeting, that a healthy ocean and a vibrant blue economy is very important and will play a major role in our national development. The structural transformation that we need and addressing critical development issues that we face. And therefore, like the previous speaker said, we need to pay attention to the ocean. Then the second outcome was that we need, as a matter of urgency, to adopt a science-based management approach. And I think the previous speakers have been alluding to this. And in that also including indigenous knowledge. Sometimes when we talk of scientific research, we tend to exclude indigenous knowledge, but it came out strongly that there's a lot that we can learn from indigenous knowledge and then traditional management practices. And so we need to get that on board as well. Thirdly, was the need to build capacity. At the universities, research institutions, and then also to leverage the use of science, technology, and innovation at all levels to manage the ocean space. And some of the things that we spoke about whilst we were preparing, waiting, and it's already ongoing, is the use of satellite technology. It has a huge potential that can be deployed within the ocean space for a wide range of things. And then last but not the least, the importance of collaboration among all stakeholders, academia, civil society, and practitioners, policymakers. We need to work together. The the issues are multifaceted, they are complex, and no one can handle the issues all by themselves. So we need to work together. We need to build synergies, leveraging each other's relative strengths to give us a good chance of succeeding. It is not a tough war. It is not one group against the other. We need to look at the issues that we have in common rather than spend energy on our differences and fighting over our differences. Rather, let's gather around our common interests, what we all share, and then build up from there. And then hopefully the differences we have will dissipate as we move forward.
Awesome. All right, this is I Import here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we're taking a look at how we as a country can adopt a science-based approach in terms of the management of our oceans in this country. And with me in the studios we have Professor Francis K.E. Nunu. Professor Nunu is the head of Department of Marine and Fishery Sciences at the University of Ghana. Indeed, we also have in the studios Dr. Felix Adoyobo, who is Deputy Director and Advisor, SDG's Advisory Unit Office of the President, and indeed our own Mr. Rixta Ni Ama Amafio, who is the Executive Director of Blue Economy and Governance Consult. He is also the Secretary of the National Fisheries Association of Ghana. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the discussion. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, GOIL makes good things happen. This time, GOIL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GOIL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GOIL has that sorted. GOIL, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water, or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects, and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so welcome back. I've been told by the production team that we can activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. And the number to dial is 020-552-8353. 020-552-8353. The number will be crawling on your screen pretty shortly so that you can call in and contribute to the discussion. Let me go to Prof. Nunu and find out from you whether indeed we are in a state of hopelessness or there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I just want to find out from you, because we have some 4 documents. I want to find out from you whether you think that if we go according to them, we can find the panacea to this particular situation in them. First of all, we have the Oceans Governance Study. I think that Dr. Adoyobo will tell us much about it, the scope of the study and all that. We have the Sustainable Ocean Plan, we have the WACA program, and we have the National Integrated Maritime Strategy. These are documents that have been brought forth by our country, institutions in the country, just to help us and guide us in our path, or in our path, to ensuring some positivity in terms of governance and management of our oceans. But we still seem to be marking time. Do you have faith in these documents, and is that the way to go, or you think that there are some solutions you can proffer?
Yes, thank you very much. I think that these documents and programs are in the right direction. I'm privy to the content of almost all of them.
Right.
They are documents in the right direction. We are very good at coming up with all these documentation. What we are not good at is the implementation.
Right.
If the recommendations of these programs will be enforced or will be implemented to the letter with monitoring and evaluation regimes, so that we can get the results and the outcomes, the expected outcomes. These are wonderful.
Right.
But these are not the only documents. We started writing quite a lot of things way back.
Yeah.
The coastal zone management strategy, coastal zone management policy, this, that. So many of such things have come and gone.
Right.
They are warming the shelves and all that, and it is the implementation. And government after government, we don't see, these documents do not see the light of the day. So we need to really see the sustainability of these documents. Evidence of how these documents and their contents, the recommendations and the expected outcomes are going to be realized for our benefit and for future benefit. But what I want to profile is that we have the science, we have got the applied science and the basic science.
Right.
Ghana, so far, we have done well in the basic science. Yes, but even that, we have not even discovered a quarter of the oceans.
Right.
It was the Europeans and things that came on an Atlantide expedition years ago that mapped our undersea and all the resources and things.
Right.
Up to now, currently, we don't have comprehensive, detailed map of every single corner of this huge ocean that God has bequeathed to us. Then we have the applied science. The applied part is the, basically, for instance, in Ghana presently, all effluents from industry literally end up in the sea. They put in river, they put in lake, estuary, eventually end up what? In the sea. So the applications of some of these industries and other things and the effects on the ocean, the policies, these policies, do they address those concerns?
Right.
You see that there is little. Yeah. The second thing I would like to say is that we don't need, I talked about technology earlier on.
Yes.
Even for satellite technology, we need internet and web-based solutions.
Absolutely.
Even that is not good across the country. We should get to a situation where internet water coverage, seepage has gone widely.
Right.
So that, because there are sometimes even we in our department, we've got a satellite that gives us real live data as to what is happening in the ocean. But sometimes you'll be there and then there will be power fluctuation.
It seems you have a mini VTMIs in your, in your department.
Yes, in my department we have it. If you enter, you see the thing there.
Wow.
And we can view the oceans and all that. And we're satellite based.
Absolutely.
And my brother mentioned something like that.
Yes.
You know, and we need to, instead of all this, another way, soft way, is to provide certain small equipment.
Right.
Things like echo sounder that the fishing industry uses.
Yes.
We need some of these things in the universities to train our students, in the research institutions to train our students. There are times where sometimes a multi-parameter probe that will be able to give us salinity, temperature, this, that, you know, at even certain dates. We need underwater camera. Underwater camera, you can be on a boat and just leave the camera and it will get to everything.
Absolutely.
We need small submarine, not the big, huge ones.
Yes.
Small submarine that will be able to map all the underwater, mapping various locations underwater.
Yeah.
You know, we have the satellites, we can do it, but there are small things that we don't need huge money to do that.
Yeah.
We have made all the observations, but let's move the next step of implementing them and making sure that they affect the real life of man. I'll drop there and then we'll continue.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you very much, Prof. Let me come to Dr. Felix Adoyobo and find out from you if you can tell us a little more about the ocean governance study, you know, the progress that has been made so far, what the key findings have been and the actions that are to be taken.
Yeah, let me start by saying that it was very strategic for us to start with the ocean governance study, and it ties in with what Professor said, that we do have all the policies. Implementation becomes a challenge. It's all around issues of governance, and so when we conceived the idea of coming up with a sustainable ocean plan, one of the first steps was to study the institutional ecosystem, see who the players are, where the overlaps are, where the contradictions are, and then how we can resolve it. Because without a good institutional architecture, we will be planning to fail, for lack of better words. So the Ocean Governance Study, again, is a manifestation of the partnership that our unit does engage in with various bodies. This was with the UN agency, the Division of Ocean Affairs, and the Law of the Seas, with support for the Norwegian government. And it set out to identify the gaps in the current legal and institutional arrangement, and then to see the extent to which Ghana's systems are in line with the international law and requirements that we've signed up onto, and then also identify some of the capacity needs that we need to address. So the key findings from the Ocean Governance Study were, and I'll just talk about 4 or 5 of them, that yes, we have signed on to most of the international conventions, and we've set up regulations and agencies in line with these international conventions. But there are still a few areas that we need to work on. We also found out that within the ocean space, we still have unresolved border issues with, and I'm talking of maritime border with Togo, Benin, and Nigeria to the east. Largely, we've resolved that with Ivory Coast, but then the implementation is still not fully done. And there are challenges with dealing with illegal and underreported, unregulated fishing, the IUU, and Ghana has been warned on 2 occasions for not meeting its international obligations under these laws. And it's something that we need to address importantly. And last but not the least, the fourth one, is the issue of security. That it is an emerging threat within the Gulf of Guinea, and as a country, we need to be proactive on this matter, and therefore need to take steps to address issues of marine terrorism, kidnapping, ransom seeking, etc.
Right.
And I would say that in line with these findings from the Ocean Governance Study, in scoping up what Ghana should do for the Sustainable Ocean Plan, which is still in the process, it's not done yet, we decided to add a sixth pillar. Globally, there are 5 pillars, but Ghana decided to add a sixth pillar, which is maritime security, because of the peculiar challenges we have. Globally, the pillars are ocean wealth, ocean health, ocean equity, ocean knowledge, which will deal with the science and research issues, and then ocean finance. And having touched on ocean finance, let me also respond to one of the comments that Prof made and my colleague made earlier on, bordering on the implementation of these policies. If you go through all the reports that agencies do submit, one of the first challenges they will tell you is financing. It's almost always one of the first challenges, why they are not achieving their targets, why they are underperforming. And so strategically, we have decided that as part of the Sustainable Ocean Plan, we will develop a financing framework which will look at how we can mobilize resources to support the implementation of the framework. We see that government obligations are many, and we cannot rely on government for the small submarine that Prof is talking about and all the beautiful things that we need. But if we are able to structure these things in such a way that private sector see them as an investment opportunity, then there is potential to attract private funding or private capital into this area. So critical to the Sustainable Ocean Plan would be a financing and a framework. Where do we get money to finance these activities? Who are the investors we need? How can we package the various needs within the space so that we present them as an investment opportunity? That is what would attract the private investor, not coming up to give us freebies. No, they want returns. And there are a lot of such potentials within the ocean space. So we will do that as part of the SOP arrangement, and then we will also have a monitoring and evaluation framework to make sure that consistently we are able to track progress of implementation. We are able to liaise with the researchers to generate the data to help us track the progress of implementation. And then importantly, take steps to put in the necessary corrective measures as we implement. So it's not going to be cast in stone. It's going to be iterative. We'll revisit the plans, and then based on new knowledge, emerging issues, new technology, we will update the plans to suit.
Awesome. Let me come to Mr. Matthew, and just in 1 minute, you have been calling for the establishment of a Blue Economy Authority. I just want to find out from you how this proposal ties into the sustainable development of Ghana's oceans, just in 1 minute.
I think that from the beginning, Doc was saying that basically the SDG office is more of an ad hoc office, and if I got it right, and that they are now that there is no system or institution in place, they are basically holding the fort. Now, but the issues is raising are such that you cannot deal with them on ad hoc basis. You need to have a proper architecture that is properly placed in law with the necessary legal authority to be doing the things he's talking about. So to start with, if you have, it may not be Blue Economy Authority, but if you have an institution in place that is born out of law and has a mandate to perform these functions, you probably may have taken the first major step forward. And so you would be clear in your mind what is it that you are doing and what mandate you have to be doing the things you are doing. Because you see, you are dealing with institutions that are founded in law.
Right.
You are dealing with Ghana Maritime Authority, Environmental Protection Agency, Fisheries Commission. You are dealing, I'll settle the Petroleum Authority, Ghana National Petroleum Authority. These agencies are all situate in law.
Yes.
And have their mandate properly defined.
Yes.
So if you're an ad hoc body, you would only have to appeal to them and not necessarily perform based on any particular mandate.
Right.
That was why from the beginning I raised the issue that you need to look at the overlaps and then you need to know what institutional architecture to create.
Right.
In order that you can bring all these institutions together and work closely with them.
Okay.
Now, if you play from an ad hoc position, you may put all the information together. It may end up gathering dust because you may now create an institution that may work from a completely different position. And that is where...
Can I help him?
Okay, yes, Prof.
Yes. The help is that all these bodies that he's mentioned, they sit on each other's boards.
No, Prof.
They sit. You hold on.
I know.
We need something interministerial or inter something.
Okay. No, Prof.
And they sit on each other's boards. What is needed is more of collaboration among these institutions.
I agree they sit on each other's board, but
all of them,
they have different roles they play. Look, let me give you an example. Section 93 of the
our time is
Section 93 of the Fisheries Act, for instance, provides for a fisheries impact assessment. EPA LI 1999 provides for environmental impact assessment. Now, when you speak to the Fisheries Commission and you speak to EPA, I've done that. EPA tells you they don't need a fisheries impact assessment because we do all the things that they said a fisheries impact assessment should.
Right.
An environmental impact assessment is not the same as a fisheries impact assessment. They are completely different.
It's a part of it.
Some part of, but they are completely different things.
Right.
You get what? But they sit on each other's board.
Right.
So what I'm saying.
That's why better collaboration.
So you need some institution that brings them together and ensure that
interministerial.
And so that will be the Blue Economy Authority you are calling for.
But then you need some institution that is able to look at all the overlaps and integrate them and get them to work.
All right, just two messages and we are done. Listening to Mr. Richter on turf war likely to develop in the implementation of the Blue Economy, I beg to differ. This is to say Ghana Maritime Authority is a body mandated by law to regulate, monitor and coordinate activities in the maritime environment, exploitation, preservation and regeneration of the marine environment, which is regarded as blue economy, and its relations to the SDGs are all covered under IMO instruments and conventions, which GMA as the local implementer of such conventions. All that needs to be done is the GMA to up its game to make laws covering the blue economy as related to the 170 SDGs. There's no name attached to that. This one says, my name is Danny in Medina. I was impressed to hear Dr. Yobo say that a financing framework is part of the Sustainable Ocean Plan. I'd like to know what should the current administration not say. I would like to know that should the current administration not stay for an extended period, how assured are we that the commitment will remain?
And this question ties into my 1%, of GDP thing to be allocated to science.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Prof, in fact, I had a question for you, but we have run out of time, unfortunately. Because we have the World Environment Day. We had World Environment Day last week, and
let's talk about
players
pollution.
in the maritime sector. Yes, players in the maritime sector did a lot of work, and so I just wanted to find out from you what we can do, because the fishing community laments that pollution is one of their major banes, and so how we can put a stop to this particular menace. That was my last question to you. If you can do that in 30 seconds.
Just 10 seconds. Basically, we have plastics and plastic. We have the big plastics and the tiny plastics. In the sea, we have organisms that are sessile. They sit at one place, and organisms that move. Especially for those that sit at one place, the plastics cover them so that they can breathe.
Absolutely.
Oxygen is so important to everybody, so it affects their growth, and so the fishes might not be able to grow to sizes that we want, and we might be blaming Fisheries Commission or something for doing something, but it's the plastics.
Absolutely.
Ghana has signed up to MARPOL and other international conventions and things, and we are not implementing it. We can keep cleaning up, but we bury them at the beach, and then the sea comes again, absolutely. And all that. We should change our attitude.
We'll have we should change our attitude. We'll have a dedicated discussion on this particular one. That's on marine pollution, and then we'll invite you to come, Prof, and share your views with us. Viewers, this is how we draw the curtain on Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television tonight. Remember, we'll be taking a look at how to adopt a science-based approach in the management of our oceans in Ghana. I would like to say a big thanks to Professor Francis Nono, who is the head of department at the University of Ghana's Fisheries, Marine and Fisheries Sciences Department. And then we also have Dr. Felix Adoyobo saying a big thank you to you. He's Deputy Director and Advisor, SDG's Advisory Unit, Office of the President, and indeed our own Mr. Ristani Amafio, who is the Executive Director of the Blue Economic and Governance Consult and Secretary of the National Fisheries Association of Ghana. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And I invite you to watch the brief version of Iron Port on Wednesday at 8:30 on Ghana Television. My name is Kennedy Mona. God willing, next week we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of Iron Port. Maximum respect to our sponsors: Ghana Revenue Authority, Goel PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. We're out for now, and we will bounce back next week. Stay blessed and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you.